Well, I think first of all, in general, what are the risks, the difference between private equity and public equity?
Yeah.
Right. The key risk is that what we invest in is fairly illiquid. We cannot sell, right? For example, last Friday, when things were pretty bad with the new variant, a lot of people sold the shares around the world, right? As a private equity investor, you just cannot sell, right? That's called illiquid asset. We hold on to illiquid investments. As a result, we need terms of investment. We need to sit on the board. We need to see how businesses develop, right? So that is the number one difference between private investments and public investment. It's what we call liquidity risk. Other than that, we have other risks that are quite similar to public investments, whether they're macro risks from the economy, regulatory, competitive risks, management risks, and all that stuff. But as time goes by, we do have to look at the return. And what we do is, if the return is high and the risk is high, we have to what we call risk-adjusted return. If the risk is low, we can expect a lower return. And generally, when the businesses are smaller, they tend to have a higher risk, and we would expect a higher return. When the business is much bigger, like a Novaland or Vinhomes or KHÂNG, you would expect the risk to be lower because they're much bigger, they're more experienced, they have a brand, and the risk and the return would be much lower when you make these investments. So really, at a high level, the size of the business has a lot to do with how you view the risk-adjusted return. When it comes to sector, it changes a lot, right? Sector has a lot of economic implications. The economy has a huge impact on financials, logistics, and materials. And so we have to be very conscious of how the economy changes and how that reflects to the risk of each of the sectors and what sort of return we can get. Just to give you an example, we've been very bullish on the consumer food and beverage businesses over the last 5, 10, 15 years. Lots of brands, Vinamilk, Phúc Long Coffee, Chinsu, lots of good Vietnamese brands. So we've made a lot of investments over the years in consumer food and beverage. But over the last, 5 years, what I've noticed is that international brands have come to Vietnam a lot, right? You even eat and drink international brands, right? Yeah. So what happens is the demand for consumer goods is still very strong, but the supply, the competitive supply, right, for international brand has increased significantly, making it more and more difficult for Vietnamese businesses to compete. Now, you know Starbucks coffee, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So 5 years ago or 10 years ago, did you have a Starbucks coffee?
No, never heard of it.
Yeah. And you were drinking probably Highlands coffee or Trung Nguyen's coffee?
Yeah, that's what we all like growing up familiar with that. But then,
Then came Starbucks.
Yes.
So did the demand for coffee change? No, the demand for coffee actually went up slowly. But now the supply for good branded coffee has increased significantly, making it more competitive for Vietnamese brand. So that's a sector that the sector's good, but the competition is very strong now.